Dear Congressman Lewis, as clear as the day can be discerned through correlation, reliant upon contrast, or relying upon correlation before while being the value of discernment and from beyond it. Space has an invisible but still discernible increasing identity of value as nature, and nature is valued simultaneously as an identity further simultaneous. Identity of value progression. We're not supposed to agree on the name of it. The ancients revealed this before criminally foreign influence sciences that can't defend themselves and handle all that is discernible through correlations identity, which is sequence true. Then while simultaneously being the value of the order to the inherent, excuse me, excuse me. We'll go over this in detail in the active, in the progressive, in identities complete, nature of volume, further semi nature, each individual grouped and all together, identities of value progression of space, just like all parts of the space of our body, all the complete identities of our bodies are in demonstration of how we have simultaneously. They are semi nature, unceasing semi nature, relationship, value system, actual relationship to our complete nature of volume, each individual, complete nature of volume. Simultaneously, semi nature, relationship grouped, areas, ages, no, especially ages with this conversation now of value nature systems, tactical ulterior, not and with the Trinity obfuscated. So it's A-B binary. And then and or Trinity as negative as criminal insidious nature. Valuing the Quran, valuing the Old Testament out of sequence, preventing free speech. That's here. Interbranch originally still. For example, the value of the child abuse in relationship to the forsaken, with the laws of left entrenched, criminally foreign influenced. Our founders did not chop down the fake branches of government manifest value. Again, criminally foreign influences, ancient times, semi-ancient times, before ancient times where they were before criminally foreign influence internation sciences. They had criminally internation sciences to understand it. What causes evolution? Is this identity of value progression's identity of relationship to itself, and us by that science? What is positive to the order of the finite, again with sequence true, even though it's gone. That affects our quality of fact, cheap nature here per actual science. See, if we're actual science, they're debating things offensively, already having done so. Originally, still our branch of the government, criminally foreign influenced and delusions wrought. So, not one man, the value comes from outside the branches of government. But no, not one man will proceed as you guys are aware of your experience of the nature of the differences. People I don't know at all, and tied to people I barely know. And the only context I know them in was recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they were influenced to it by the branches of government, but simultaneously by their roles with juxtaposed overt criminal enterprises and their crime acts and methods with them and with the undercover. They're not supposed to confess that and demonstrate that. They used Facebook. They're using Facebook, every online platform sensibilities. They already used the identity of the campuses that train them. All victims, but all victim predators. Same way. Now, see, here many pray. This is how the banking guys are victims as told to be through the branches of the government, WFSB, a place next to them, a place is next to them, like a Rocky Hill Athletic Center, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they're involved with human trafficking. WFSB had the fake things recorded because of the kids they used when I was a kid, tied to the kid here. They're using recorded terms like bullying in a relationship where they set up, like they have kids that are like weak, you can beat them up easily. And most kids will for what they have them do. They have kids, and all those differences. If you bigger than everyone in your school, each age of it, they're going to get over you on another way. They're going to have each individual grouped together in a method that makes everyone value the very delicate but very stronger than everything right there to discern or to ignore more and more lethal IDs, which is the value of sequence true, that nature of sequence, the value of the order of the finite sequence nature, the value to the sequence nature order of what is active, our active value of this. Every physical value is here, invisible but expanding value. Now here's the secret, Congressman Lewis. I know you know a lot about things about more than me, but say I know things more than everyone else too. For example, everyone brings up the subjects in the topic. They leave out how you can't bring up a subject without having an increase that as not only as an increasing nature of volume, but with predicate value, and that's with trinity value, and that's only as temporary positive, which is either temporary or lasting positive or negative unceasingly. We are a quality of diffusion in relationship to this trinity's relationship to its complete nature through its semi-natures, which one identity is semi-nature two ways, which is the value of how it is five semi-natures, and there is the value of how it is three semi-natures bonded distinctly and non-distinctly as the same body, as that value of that bond, which is to a complete nature, which is coming into this nature of volume that only fills our temporary positive identity more than the rest of space nature, because it's a quality of diffusion, and with the phenomenon of the physical body, wherein how it is making more and more forever nature of one identities, like we are positive or negative memory, for example, to its perfect value progression. See, but now we have modern nations self-valuing, only having known self-value an identity of negative value nature progression. For example, valuing overall, like nation group and group rights over individual rights. So that only fights all fake sides of correlation nature, sides, because there's the value of physical sexes. I'll give it preluded to my video on that. These are semi-natures. What the value of semi-nature is to discern both that there's the trinity, which is another semi-nature with this, as increasing nature of volume, to discern the value of it, of understanding its relationship to itself, and of using its value progression system. Now, this is tied to fact achieving nature styles, all liars. This is, in other words, it's a value that child. Now, this is called correlation things. This is how logic actually works. We have logic recorded. There's why they have opinions. They have research that's recorded criminally foreign influenced. The campuses CCSU was used from off campuses with people that use kids for racketeering. When I was a kid, I had nothing to do with. If they want to say, "Oh, that's not true," because we know this was true. Those are contexts that they can't speak about. So they make people to say, force it, those people to act like they know you. They even had some girl ask me to a Sadie's Hawkins. I had no conversation with her. These are people involved with database racketeering. Former Mayor Gold. See, they have the sensibilities of victim predators against correlation. They can't stand free speech in correlation with is delicate but very simple to connect with sequence true. It is increasing revelations, increasing method of understanding. This is the algorithm. This is the identity of value progression attached to all questions. The only way this can be debated is offensively, criminally. That's why since I was a kid, the New Britain Superior Court has been coaching people to their roles, attaching me and other people, other kids, to fake locations, human trafficking. A whole bunch of people next to Rock Hill Athletic Center and locations next to WFSB there, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also involved racketeering with the Department of Motor Vehicles with a Perone family. Also connected to this Italian school that is around the corner from Foxct Connecticut News and the buildings next to them. Two Domain brothers, two Mendez police involved with them with racketeering, human trafficking. I barely know them too. The only context I know them in, I had no conversation with them. I put the exceptions on Facebook. That's why they take it down. They're not following the law. They're pretending people are making allegations. They're also faking conversations with people that are attaching me to fake locations with narratives, totally acting out lie progressions they needed because of how retired and standing other mayors too are further involved with the principal sex offenders campus and with the policing of intercampuses in my town, also through influences that keep that the outcome, because these are the same ones involved with racketeering intercities on off the New Haven FBI. They lie about what's recorded over the phone. They have the narrative, see something, say something, recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with the racketeering that maintains the states and areas of each modern nation criminally foreign influence, fighting with each other to have defended styles of liars. Counters to war, counters to things crazy where you can put the elements together. So yeah, no one can see it, and everyone's making opinions everywhere anyway, not by accident through criminally foreign influence sciences, forced glorified. That's and free speech is not. This is misprision too. They're lying about what they speak individually grouped in together. The branches of government, crime methods, crime natures individually grouped in together. Those crime methods. How someone could try to tell me that that's not child abuse? What is claim free, that is forsaken, with their uses of isms, their uses of the words like logic. So we have the stewards of logic, then they hear what I say and they change everything they say. These are people involved with identity racketeering, identity thefts, identity frauds. You have to defend yourself from people attach you to fake conversations in conjunction with courts that have been attaching little kids to fake the things in databases since I was a kid. And then they have live progressions off campuses tied to that. Then they pretend they're trying to perceive things, stuff like that. They don't know what they're communicating and how they're communicating. They're just keeping criminally foreign influence stewards, all private, tied to the branches of government too. How this is maintained by other nations, the outcome is demonstrated. Too, a whole bunch of nations, foreign and domestic military. They're sickly, overtly, criminally foreign influence delusions wrought since founding, pounding drums. That's why George Washington had to leave overt slavery in the North here, right before, between in New York and Boston, New York, Boston, and Connecticut. Still, look what they brought people into, that people stack in New York City. And the cause of it, they're bringing out other things on themselves. They're forcing the glorification of our founders. They have passions and emotions. Oh, how could you know I'm lying about my passions and emotions? Because it's actually recorded. They don't believe our founders were slaveholders. Those furthering the criminally foreign influence sciences, each of them. The algorithm is about identity. And that's about what is true to sequence, true, individual rights, group rights, and the species nature or volume at the same time as positive, as semi-natures of positive. Because positive has one identity will only stay positive unto itself. See, what was built is only capable of causing negative value nature progressions, action natures, causing people to justify that because they're blaming the real cause of it because they're exploiting it of negative value nature progressions, action natures, on other things other than themselves. So they blame predicate acts on groups wrong. It is recorded, demonstrated, and confessed how we have overt criminal enterprises and the stewards of the Witness Protection Program and former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his lawyer, Robert Chevery, and three of their co-defendants in a 2006 case, and their family members also involved with racketeering with the same cliques into all the campuses I went to. This also shows recorded how women judges, how women interbranch have roles, defending identities that are so sick and they have effects where things like unusual like that, like abuses of kids like that by a principal, where they forced him with more interpolicing of the campuses. We have military here too. Now, so we have uses of the pretended. You can't realize that there's the millions of types of titles, people of them. You know, they're defended titles because millions of people maintain names, states, areas, criminally foreign influence, all database relationships, all campuses. So they need to have fights outside between people and companies, between people and themselves because they need that perceived. They're preventing mandated law. The courts use crime methods where they say into records what they already said other, and they're using human trafficking. They're putting fake recorded things into databases through time against kids and against adults. The Morrow family is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. He's involved with the judges that and victims advocates, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with child sex offenders, medical offenders, and criminal roles with this Kerr family. They make people act behind people's backs, and then they pretend other by forging names, switching names online because they have punk cowards. They can't speak in real life. They can't follow the rules. Now they already recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. You can't call them on the phone because they'll forge names and switch names with other police forms. And these are cliques with foreign and domestic, overt criminal enterprises in sexual circles and roles with that, per their roles with child abuses. Now these are strangers. I'm not giving away information about people that I don't know. I only know from. That's why they're using confessions from strangers, times. And you know then you'll forget about people. Then all of a sudden you see them in the context. Everything they have each age of fact cheaping nature worse than forsaken, and they have value nature system that make itself value, but ones that are off the record. And because that's off the record, that by the time it gets there, it values that. We have states and areas criminally foreign influence. That's a phrase associated with what these predicate acts are in demonstration of, which is criminal and serious nature as an identity, as value as nature, and as nature as value simultaneously, as increasing nature of volume as value. So please, Mr. Lewis, it is reported that you guys have jobs that are employed to the defenses of that, to the defenses of their survival, for the racketeering method that used torture originally, and still to leverage all roles, to blaming the real causes of slavery on other things other than themselves, and by hiding it, and by furthering it, and by pretending other, as breaching screens and tools were built here. All. So this is the secret about the subject. If you say if you bring up what's the subject, what's the topic, and you leave out predicate value, you leave out what's making them more and more value and how, which is another semi-nature. And how is its complete identity of relationship to itself, which reveals the fruits and gifts of evolution in demonstration of it, and or it forces Leith of Hadith. Now, where that appears to be binary, it's in relationship to if we have the sequence true, the order to the finite valued honestly, the value to active valued honestly, this in our range of control, no inseparable from reality, and progression's value. So that people stacking in New York City in a whole one building, one of those buildings alone, unfathomable how you could counter that in these value nature systems, from a tactically denatured relationship to nature, as it only capable of causing negative value nature progressions, action natures, not by accident, already having been valued by all kinds of experts, etc., blamed on other things other than themselves. The identities of the campuses, the identity of education's value itself, from off the ground of education, which has an inseparable tie to our invisible but still expanding value as fact treatment nature. Again, so this identity is filling the value of and as distinctly and non distinctly, as the identity that is non distinctly the value of all parts of English grammar, as nature of volume, of the volume. So humanity, each person is a complete nature of volume. We are a/the nature of volume, positive or negative, in relationship to not people's sensibilities, especially in relationship to criminally foreign influence science, all agree to disagree. That's both sides needing to say binary because the criminally foreign influence delusions wrought logic. And worse are the experts that solve that and the pathology of that. So we have to be able. We have the on off the state judicial branch offices, on off the state prison offices, with intercultural families originating still as fact cheaping nature reacted fake sides, tactically pseudo-educated categorically and differentially categorically sick. Everyone's average education worse than obfuscated. The identity of the sciences, not by accident, all pretending to know they don't realize those are just jobs of science. That's not the identity of the science real. That's not the identity of the law. Not let us report what is actually recorded, which is how a whole bunch of judges, a whole bunch of police forms, former director of the FBI down. This is right down Robert Chevrolet. I don't know if his office is still there, right down the street from the Mark Twain house, Harry Beecher Stowe house. No, Harry Beecher Stowe with the phrase Uncle Tom. And positive, they claim binary. So with sequence true is one nature of positive. The order to the finite is another nature of positive. The order to the active is another nature of positive. The order to the progressive nature of volume. We are, as a quality of the fusion, as positive. And fifth, where we are complete identity, that's positive. That's temporary positive. We are further unceasingly, again, a quality of the fusion in relationship to this identity of value progression we're not supposed to agree on the names of. Same reason the ancients revealed that and how the ancients revealed English, actually. This is most probable and demonstrable. This came from a sophistication that understood that and how and why the predicate act of the law is a demonstration of the same thing, distinctly and non-distinctly, that the predicate of English is a demonstration of, which is the female nature as value. In the predicate act, that's the female identity as value, as nature, as value, and value is nature. So know how the predicate, the main verb, When it's no longer the main verb, its identity changes. It's not that semi-nature that's, I mean, there's it's a complete nature, but everything is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature again to that one identity filling everything as value, as nature, and nature's value simultaneously. And the value of that which is simultaneously. And with the value of that to what is what leads what the value systems. Say we have this worse than obfuscated. So this is what I'm trying to say real fast. If you take that, if you look at it, for example, using correlation, does that fit with what's pretending it's integrity? Just knowing that child abuses. If you're aware with cities, you know there are child abuses, and then you hear the responses to it, and then if you respond to that, it's gonna depend on if you're black or white, because distinctly and non-distinctly, because the same racketeering that method that is exploiting everyone sickly distinctly did that and does that in a way to keep perpetually how sickly non-distinctly from being discerned. This is why we have and how we have criminally foreign influence zoning laws involved with the torture of our founders, the fact cheating nature slavery of our founders. If we can't address the fact cheating nature slavery of our founders still force glorified, then we can't address who's hurt most by the slavery then and now. The truth is the truth that doesn't go away. This is actual value progression. Actually, what reveals the fruits and gifts of evolution means unfathomed has to be this identity, this complete relationship to itself. Again, it's going to stay demonstration of negative value nature progressions, acts and natures, because sciences became criminally foreign influence. Our long words changed. When where they didn't, we still know what to say. Everything we need to say is exploited. See, they use like weak kids. So if you try to go back and say about how people did things that weren't right with databases, they make it sound like bullying, and people's perception hear that. They make it sound like you were in locations with those people you never were. You had a class with them you never did. These are people with private schools, with people with kids next to the schools. They connected all, even homeschool families. There's a whole bunch of natures of racketeering too, with a whole bunch of medical people through roles with drug clicks into branch and with their family members with that and uses of that. Now, see, they've already been making value treatments about the physical where it's invisible but clear, and where they're writing it. And they're using crime methods through time, preventing writing in courts. We wrote a charge, but they never let you have any writing. So there are no means to counter how they attach everyone to fake locations, fake ties to other people. They force everyone and kids, especially, easily to speak through their parents, and in ways that where no one realizes what they're doing. So no one realizes when they're speaking what doesn't make sense, both sides, that and how they're using the identity ground. All the kids individually grouped and together, attaching people to fake locations, making illusions, like you could show an illusion, a magic trick to audiences. They're doing these are other natures of racketeering methods and motivations missed. People, oh, we're good people. These are people keeping worse than obfuscated our nature's actual good nature, the one they're talking about, but they're using it as criminal disease nature. They're not about trying to counter recidivism. The people with the jails are already recorded and involved with racketeering methods and acts with them in cases, evidence racketeering before they're in there. They're family members, all victims of what used originally and still the identities of the ground. All gather around. Before that there is no sophistication until this one that was before our founders were even born. They already perfected it on Native Americans in layers, blaming on other things, others, and self, the real cause of negative value nature progressions, even when correct. In other words, because this juxtaposed styles of liars, styles of motivations for it. And then I kept that roles with that individually grouped it together, lie progressions to each spot, self-valuing what keeps that, use it like that because he used it there too. He used it here first. All databases since ancient times, they had database relationships before computers. That's what revealed the sophistication of the Republic. That's evidence. So who wants to argue other is with that, what's tied to that broken grammar school logic, treating things like serious, like slavery, a subject parted, again, from predicate value. Again, from why that is two, these are two simultaneous natures, and demonstration of another one. Complete nature can only stay complete, and value progression, the way it's self-generating, has to be a whole bunch of difference at once. Now, this is again, we're closer. The rest of space nature has no criminal foreign influences, and that's a term needed to like criminal insidiousness nature. Identity is needed through the debatable. Is not debatable. A predicate act is a demonstration of a criminal insidious nature, which is temporary positive as negative value nature, as a quality of diffusion. Now, the predicate is positive or negative quality of diffusion with the subject in relationship to this identity of value progression perfect. Again, is only fills the identity. Yin yang will not part, and all exceptions are only in demonstration of it. This nature of volume as value, and value is nature, and nature is value, and simultaneously is in demonstration to us. The ancients revealed understanding of the law, the nature of the law, of the nature, the value of what is simultaneous, to it as a quality of integrity that what has been since can't defend itself, and its styles of liars pretending other, and us at the same time from what exploits that. So they need fake integrity pretending to be against racism. Recorded our intercultural leaders are in collusion, criminally foreign influenced, tied to predicate act methods. And what keeps that the outcome? Not just the jobs, that those are motivations they want to have juxtaposed for people to pretend individually grouped together to perceive. These are self-cultivated roles. With that propagated, you can't defend that and us at the same time. And that stayed. Him and he prayed. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, Mr. Lewis, there are forces juxtaposed. You have to understand also that how there are women with this, interbranch, intercultural. They're pretending passions and emotions, interbranch. Now we have the Wethersfield police chief's daughter, therefore, obviously her kids. And you can never know with them because they're so fake always, and they'll exploit that criminally, and they do. Now, and a Mazzucato family also recorded, confessed, and a whole bunch of people at CCSU involved with them. That's in New Britain, Connecticut. Now, this is Wethersfield, Connecticut, on off the state judicial branch offices, on off the Wethersfield Police Department, on off the state prison offices in this town, involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of people on off Church Street in Old Wethersfield, and with that house on the corner, involved with the English department, with the acting department, and other acting. and other intercampuses of various natures, people with UConn, a whole bunch of medical racketeering, identity thefts, frauds. Now, this is right where George Washington had to come to meet with, even with the French general. He had to leave overt slavery with color right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. He had to meet him here in this town, still sick. Now there's a Faenza family and a whole bunch of people associated with state police, their daughters, people with CCSU. I don't even know them. They make them walk by you and stuff like that. Involved with like a Paul Vance, retired and standing state police, involved with CCSU with this. Recorded confessed racketeering with judges, with child sex offenders, human trafficking, with them attaching me and little kids. They forced the principal sex offender use their own Facebook pages for rape threats, with people with identity thefts, frauds, passions faked, forging names, switching names, because that's how they do it. They don't let anyone have free speech while they're putting everyone to roles identity racketeering. They have timed. They're using the theater that you're not going to see people in suburban areas. In urban areas, distinctly and non-distinctly. That theater was built. That was forced with the fact-cheating nature, torture, and slavery of our founding. These zoning laws involved with a racketeering method that had the branches of government only capable of being lipogressions, lipogression cover-up natures in relationship to correlation nature's identity of value, progression, each age of it, distinctly and non-distinctly, grouped, individual and together. Our voice, the long words, are native pure, no matter who we are, sure. So I need the high crest schools recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They make these threats and demonstration of sexual, medical, and judicial and executive exploitation of little girls sexually, medically, and identity attached to them. WFSB did this with them. Don't make me beg or talk about disgusting things. Have them pick one name in sequence, Mr. Lewis, Congressman Lewis, the Britain Superior Court. They can say they're sorry. If they made a mistake, have them say it. Don't make me beg. Have them pick one name in sequence. Have them admit they did that too, because that's evidence. And if they deny it, that's evidence too, because their souls are really recorded other ways too. And we'll talk about soul per science. See, Omega, your longing is complete, a trinity. It's not just male, female. It's not just kids, parents. It's this trinity being as three distinct natures of volume that are filling, while two other ones are filling two other ways. This is how it is self-generating. Now, so we want to debate theory and things like that. This is what English was revealed to teach. So the numbers are juxtaposed with the letters. So 3 is supposed to look like it's showing what's traveling left to right as the value of B, as value as nature, nature as value. So whenever you hear the subject brought up, like a topic, not by accident, they're leaving out predicate value. That's tied. You know, it was a great woman, made me a stronger man. Just hearing one sort of thing about it. I'm just saying. But then women, they're going to say, or they're going to take the style of the fight. They know it's not right. As like people are going to take topics. Positives has an identity. Science has an identity. Every body of value individually grouped up together has 2 points of possession on both sides of it. For example, all around it. The halo was revealed to teach this is about science. The first part of the Old Testament and the first part of the Quran per juxtapose a whole bunch of ulterior motivations, natures, needs, interests. So not realizing all sick, but not realizing non-distinctly they have others which really keeping states and areas effectively preventing the first part of the Quran, first part of the Old Testament from having its conversation about criminalization nature, about identity of criminalization nature, that type of liar in relationship to criminal foreign influences, in relationship to archetypal criminal enterprise. Arise, not a lawyer, not police form criminal. It's recorded necessary that I have a citizen's arrest of the United States of America and of all the nations individually grouped and together, grouped in relationship to the roles with the Trade Center predicate acts further recorded and involved with the investigators of it. All these are killers. They got guns. You get them to one name and sequence it to branch it down or gather around. Not you, Mr. Lewis. Then you watch what coward punks use titles each. Oh, but this guy. Have them pick one name and spelling of each name. People just repeating the stupid physical delusions. We have this right to administrations, no child offenders still. A whole bunch of people tied to the Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV, the DOT, involved all along Burlington Turnpike, all along Sawstein Highway, the roads per Walker Hill, the roads perpendicular to the road from Main Street in Old Weathersfield at the house with the corner of Church Street in Old Weathersfield. Then those people are gonna hate me because I'm trying to talk about their house. But the police department will record, confess, demonstrate they're forging names, switching names, attaching everyone to fake words no matter what they say. They attach me to fake conversations, locations, and ties to for instance, I was a kid. They have two Mendez police, a Janito Mendez with the Weathersfield police. I never had a conversation in my life. He pretended a police, he put the name of police equipment and me into quotes. He did that because his brother and a whole bunch of people with drug collects associated with him and all kinds of natures of racketeering on off Foxct Connecticut News with him and his brother, Eric Mendez, and their racketeering uses of the executive branch, the Weathersfield Police Department, and the New Britain Superior Court in collusion. And that was used to force a principal sex offender with others then and now, also as recorded actually on Facebook. And see, these are sequence racketeering predators. These are predators where they pretended the president was racist, for example. Wheeler acted, Wheeler made up. They're pretending the president is racist after she made statements that you can't defend those statements and us from the nature of criminal seriousness involved with is preventing free speech from using basic correlation values like the child abuse, distinctly and non-distinctly with areas sickly, all. Like this one, Weathersfield, Connecticut, right, where George Washington had to leave. This is the pathology of infrastructure forced by the racketeering method that is the torture or slavery of our founders. This is the racketeering method that makes the victim predators defend torture. It was recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how the people that pretended to be hate against and really hate against Saudis, they were in collusion with them, with this. They used CCSU. It was involved. These are other whole bunch of juxtaposed natures of racketeering, or a whole bunch of life progressions. Whole bunch of people pretending they have the right to life, for example. That's their interpretation of the statutes, because they're preventing. These are people also involved interstates from Connecticut into branch private tied to them. Their family members used for racketeering leading up to in the Trade Center attack context, tied to a post-dated documents from inside the Ninth Circuit shown to the panel of judges right before the Trade Center attack. That was right in the Ninth Circuit, right next to the Trade Center. Schooler families also recorded, confessed, to demonstrate with that tied to my new and past neighbors. And with the Dillon family, a whole bunch of people with them. and she like told the disgusting things to my wife, my ex-wife, and they used that. They had her just walk by and they repeat, "Oh, this is my best friend. This is my best friend," and so it's recorded. No one will deny it that she barely knows her. That was just all rhetoric. But see, they use that because she's also involved further with the cliques, interstates, and the investigators of the Trade Center attack who had prime roles with it. And she has, with a whole bunch of other people in her family member with human trafficking roles, uses of CCSU for that, uses of the phenomena of their roles. There are people associated with Food Bag on the Saustine Highway next to where the police station is now, where they moved from, and other locations near there, and Dakota restaurant and on the border place with foreign and domestic racketeering with like nurses cliques. All these people that were involved with DACA recorded like DACA marketing program with the schools, with the programs with the schools. They have like police. I wasn't in police force. I'm not police from, not criminal, not. These people recorded involved with justice racketeering, each age of it. They're putting data, they're using databases, private, intercampuses, interbranch, ones off the record, their roles with overt criminal enterprise, what's really furthering them, what's really valuing them the most. Excuse me, we have physical delusions. We have criminal foreign influences. Manifest every time someone justifies their roles with logic tied to the value nature systems as is, unless they're, and even when rightfully claiming to be victims. This is a sick racketeering method. That we're letting all liars pretend they can't take sensibilities, so they can keep overall argument. Oh, well, then you solve things in courts. They're not. That's not true. They're forging names and switching names. Congressman John Lewis, please have they already did use their own databases. Every individual in the courts, they defend their colleagues as high criminals with overt criminal enterprises and with the stewards of the Witness Protection Program. Again, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his lawyer, Robert Chevalier, down the street from, in that location, a whole bunch of people from my town are gathered around. They use AT&T employment, but they're going into their career and then they're trying to be FBI. They're criminally foreign influenced. That's the only context I know Chris Walters in. Now he's involved with. I need the names of the judges. They're in the background trying to pretend things, influencing people to go around me. Had me invited to go to his wedding. Then it comes time, for someone to report things tied to criminal uses of kids, and you can't get it done because these are sick people tied to Washington D.C. Pentagon. Now he also recorded, confessed. There's a whole bunch of ties to him with the people on Walker Hill Road. All come recorded, confessed to demonstrate with a Spotted family. I don't know them. I only know them from confessions too. They made people seek me out with confessions. She had a whole bunch of boyfriends at one time. One girl, and then her sister. They made her in class. We had no problems with them, and I don't want to have a problem with a girl. But see, now they're associated with probate judges and their family members, like a Delafair family, with identity theft, frauds, and racketeering, which is intercity. Now these are people relying upon they're preventing free speech, and the more you try to speak, the more they're stacking you to fake recorded things, fake location. We child offenders. I shouldn't have to beg you. You guys, the Congress. I'm trying to ask you, John Lewis, because I'm hoping you're the first man. I'm not trying to say that the presidents weren't. They're not free, distinctly non-distinct. I see the care with the president, but I see you can't even try to have if you try to approach, everyone's wrong. Where everyone's wrong. If you try to approach where they're wrong, that's in whatever keeps everyone already Agree to disagree, because science has no free speech. I'm not asking to debate the debatable. I want to know who is saying I am, because those people are consciously pretending to think I'm trying to speak about debatable because they're forging names and switching names. Their mail crime method roles, wire crime method roles, uses of AT&T to maintain criminally foreign influence states areas military, VA uses, VA no people stacking. Other time, food comes out this time. That's our job. Get down. I'll gather around. Not you, Mr. Lewis. Please, I shouldn't have to beg you anymore. They play this game where then they speak through your family members, anyone tied to you, but behind your back, and or and they pretend, oh, that's what we're supposed to. That's not what they're supposed to. They're forging names, switching names. These are torture. Former director of the FBI, his defending capacities, whole bunch of people tied to them with Foxct Connecticut News and with WFSB and on and off their locations involved with a whole bunch of juxtaposed natures of racketeering, not legal, tied to the proofs of it, which are the recorded roles with database racketeering, with attaching with roles with the narratives of the interbranch preventing mandated law by forging names, switching names, making confessions to us, and then hiding that by describing other into databases about our communications, actual tied to the ones who are making up with them. There's a Joshua Julian further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with racketeering uses of where we have like shared policings of job sites sickly, distinctly, where you can't defend that and us at the same time, but that's how it was. So there are line progressions from that. A local 230 is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by Wethersfield police involved with them with child sex offenders, with New Britain's Superior Courts police and interbranch police and intercampuses uses of Facebook pages, of IT departments, of training them. See, this is how they're keeping the sensibilities of opinionated criminally foreign influence, lied to by people that are quote experts on law. It's because you're a lawyer type of law, well, I'm this type of law. They're sequence racketeering. The reason we're supposed to have mandated law is because we're supposed to be about value increasing out here, outside from government. They can't. They need all kinds of things to pretend because they're getting over on forever nature's course, always too fast, too slow. Everyone, fake sides. This is the human species nature of volume trinity. You guys aren't letting it. It's all right. You guys want to be. I have an opinion, but it's in the way now because you guys are making an opinion. You guys are reliant upon that. When you're preventing mandated law, you're preventing the recorded evidences of the actually recorded motivations of women, interbranch, intercultural, real sick with child offenders, right to administrations. That's what the problem is. That's what the problem is. Completely a fact cheaping nature racketeering. That's what the problem is where correlation can't talk about the basic elderly simultaneously child abuses on the most forsaken areas, on any area. That's what the problem is. All rise. Be trial chives. Please, Mr. Lewis, look at that way. With respect. I'm asking you because I think you have the most potential. This is bullshit. Republican, Democrat. Oh, there's the alternative, and this the policies. They want to play. They can play that. Who disbelieves? They need beliefs. Who disbelieves? They don't want reliefs with the people. Then they who can't take reliefs wants to play games with fact cheating nature. Don't leave them forsaken. Don't forsake the people. All we have to do is admit they need release. That's recorded. Again, that's that little simple value. See, but I can't talk about that straight because you guys won't let me report how the women judges and doctors are forging names, switching names, faking, involved with human trafficking, involved with Justice Department racketeering, with programs, with types of jobs. That's the way the order goes. Oh, you can't change it. Fakes. RCT breaks to find the seed. Don't make me beg. Talk about how I can't make a living, Mr. Lewis. Please. a lot of people, you're going to say a lot of lies. These are recorded how they have criminally foreign influence victims as only like capable roles as weapons and breaching screens and tools worse. For example, what is it called? The name of the college. And all of them, all natures of campuses, each age and nature, not by accident, this republic revealed them as a concentrated value relationship to what is our differential relationship, again, to positive semi-nature, complete nature relationship to itself as a simultaneous nature, which is science. So we're prevented what is simple, just extensive, by offensive physical delusions, criminally foreign influence sciences, self-value, with all the individual roles in private, with treatments of such actually serious. See, this new we'd have to say things like, oh, this is serious when we treat what is serious, like slavery. And that has the alternative to what is fake, and then keeps that, ignored. The alternative sick, and it can't defend itself and its roles with that. This is the self-value roles with what is propagated. As long as you self-cultivate that justified as the value of our precedents and statutes as really recorded, as actually recorded. Please follow mandated law. Have them pick one name and sequence and spelling of their names at the branch. Who disbelieves? It is also recorded. I have to ask it that way because of their forging names and switching names. No, because they're using time always too fast, too slow, and they're stacking names, forging names, switching with other branches of government individually grouped. Police departments, police from a whole bunch of different cities in collusion, stacking falsified police reports, switching the names of the arresting officers. And this all stemmed from a home arrest, a promise to appear after I left the campus. The guy maybe walked to my car with my arm touching his gun, an Officer Magnanos. Then when I went to court, Officer Detective Samuda. Now he's, quote, black, unquote, and this is and as his roles with Confederate themed predicate act clicks, foreign and domestic military involved, and identity theft, racketeering. These are people like a Justin Levinskis involved with the Facebook police, pretending to bash the motions online, trying to establish evidences criminally, because they need the unfolding of it, because they have various natures of courts and non-author state judicial branch offices already recorded having been used criminally. All people tied to them and their own family members, a part of their narratives. They can't defend, and us at the same time, not by accident. These are real high sick predators. Oh, it's money. That's why we can't. That's what we have for the kids. That they have sick people associated with DCF. They have sick people associated with what you think is practical. Now these are all people that were tied to. I had nothing to do with in high school. They're making everyone speak through other people with this DACA too. They're insulating kids with programs like police explorers and things like that. They're making little rap mobs actually. In other words, they want that a value to be called a rap, because then it makes it look like they're telling the truth. It makes it look like they were in locations with you that we never were. Makes it look, you know what I mean? We have nothing free, modern nations. So I'm sick of asking for. That's why they force sustained problems. If you call up the school, the school is being coached, because then with a principal sex offender already proven, they forced it with worse then and now with the police chief's daughter involved with it. Her husband, Reno Mazzucato, reportedly her husband. I never had a conversation with him in my life. I never had a class in my life. He's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering by people assigned to him with WFSB, also recorded, and with people on and off campuses connected, like next to a web school. These are also people involved racketeering with Russian families and Russians against Russians. These are people racketeering with uses of a whole bunch of psychology, physical delusions, raw. This is logic, how logic is actually. Now, please respond, because these are games with color that need seriousness, and it needs not the fake integrity counters to it. In other words, seriousness as sick psycho-ness, uses of time, evaluation of humanity. Can't speak. That's not keeping it serious and real. Forgiveness is for this. See, but we have all fake passions and emotions offensively. There are no there are justifications for because that's only look how the women, they're broken grammar school logic. People who, that we were just letting some people try to learn how to speak. Now let's let them think, show them how to think, because no one knows how to think. That's how women are themselves denying predicate value from being discerned with subjects and self-valuing it as styles of liars with the men, real with the sick roles with. They value the child offenses because they're the ones pretending that no one likes that. Oh, even permanent prisoners don't like it. These are the people that would record and involve racketeering right over Facebook, the Facebook pages of the Britain Superior Court, of the grammar school, involved also with the Joshua Julian with local 230, recorded and involved with racketeering with child sex offenders, medical offenders, foreign and domestic families, also with overt criminal enterprises with them. And then that kid and other people I never had a conversation, anything to do with, pretending behind my back that my family had things to do with bad things, and my family proved that. My father was a labor steward on a construction job. Now these people are involved with a whole bunch of nations off campus, then they're doing drugs and stuff like that. The dealers know, these guys are undercover. These guys are military. These are little rat mobs. We have the military also recorded involved with this, with identity thefts, identity frauds, identity racketeering. They're going to pretend stolen valor against people with passions like that, which they should. But that's why then they hide their roles with such. No one cares when it comes down to the psychology roles. How many natures of racketeering? They're involved with their patients and criminals. And before they're in there, these are people involved with all kinds of racketeering uses of, what is it called? Emergency rooms. These are people with all kinds of racketeering roles with the human fact treatment nature. Each branch of government recorded criminally foreign influence delusions raw. Incapable now of following mandated law, so they're forging names, switching names. Please, these are the same people when they were kids involved with it again, actually recorded. And like, so we'll examine this. Don't make me see. And they keep repeating a commercial with ILO's home services, and they're like trying to pretend they're about positive with marketing. I barely know those people. He's recorded, confessed to demonstrate involved with sexual circles, and like even male and sharing women, and with people with overt criminal enterprises, with a Kerr family, with a DeMoro family, with a whole bunch of people with CCSU involved racketeering with judges, and with this detective Samuda who pretended he was an arresting officer, me, also with other officers. And I was never even in a location with him in my life. And I believe that's the same person. It looked like him. I saw him from a distance. One of Elena Davenport, that Heather Hansen also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated out of sequence though too. I didn't understand it completely. She has a whole bunch of natures of racketeering roles with houses in my area. I barely know her. She had a whole bunch of boyfriends she shared. One associated with a family as a victim of the Trade Center attack, as a victim of other natures of racketeering, but now that are using their sensibilities. Everyone's speaking to other. I never had a conversation with her son in my life, of a kid whose father who died now, which was a guy who was just, I remember, as a nice guy, as a t-ball coach of mine. I had nothing, I would never, but Joe DeMauro said that he was also involved with their and a Mike Kerr, as shared Heather Hansen. They said, he said that they said they were part of this, like this thing with this acting, and they have like a sexual circles. They don't say it like that, but that's what they do. They know these people are going to be in this location, this kind of purpose, and they're acting to cover life aggressions that were tied to a O'Brien family and to a former Mayor Gold, and with a Debbie Gold involved with a whole bunch of people with racketeering uses of CCSU, with child campuses, and with principals of schools, and with the various departments criminally, like the educational department, further involved, reported confessed with a principal when I went there, had a daughter in there, now involved with the rest of the people involved with the principal sex offender now. Now those are people also involved with drugs, clicks, interbranch, with the human trafficking, and with WFSB rack acts, and they won't fix that fake news, and they won't, and that's with me not being able to get the names of the judges and the state's attorneys are forging names, switching names, other natures of racketeering roles recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people tied to them and as themselves. Now this is since I was a kid. Now they also had the same time with the sexual offenders and with the police chief's daughter who went to my school. I never had a class tour, never saw her on campus in my life. So I don't know anything. And the two bakeries in Hartford, Mazzucato, has a brother and sister, and their mother, and I think the father died. I'm sorry, but the mother is involved with racketeering, with the Facebook, with the acting things. And these are people also involved with racketeering with the shared policing of the stores, and recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the Department of Transportation, DMV, racketeering uses of the Town Line Drive, at the corner of Town Line Drive and South Steen Highway, and people on and off the shopping plazas, and like associated with Stop and Shops. And to use the identities of people defending identities, where they're being used by former director of the FBI down, and by the judges. So before names, switching names, so leaving no means to counter. And per their methods, consciously criminally recorded, speaking through others criminally, pretending to perceive things, pretending passions and emotions, preventing mandated law to prevent the recorded proofs of that. So we have other police forms also and their family members recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a pattern of racketeering between houses, between schools, with identity theft, pretending they had conversations with me, people I don't know at all, like a Kelly Kazmarek, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with foreign and domestic racketeering with a whole bunch of nations, including Russians, with them, with the sex offender racketeering used for the other natures of racketeering, because now they force reactions with experts, and those experts are being used to force the crimes. They were the crimes with the sex offenders before they were caught. There were crimes with them used it to not be told on, lied about what is actually recorded over the phone. That's not only one of the ways that AT&T was involved with this through time. This is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. A spot of family involved with foreign and domestic military racketeering, and their roles with networks, with racketeering uses of AT&T, and of one girl asked Mr. Biden to go to a prom with her. Like, in other words, these are people involved with racketeering through time, sequence shifts too. So they pretend they knew me before I did. And because in other words, they can't be honest. They need to pretend that courts have the ability to settle things when they're recorded involved with the racketeering. I've been asking you in a straight line. Every time they did to try to do it, they're forging names, switching names, using Facebook for human trafficking with roles with the media. It's not just fake news. It's really sick fake news about it's like little simple things, but they're lying about past too. They attach me to past fake relationships to doctors. These are all people prevented me from countering the racketeering uses of databases at Trinity College and CCSU. Recorded, confessed, to demonstrate influence to it by various natures of courts and their police forms and foreign and domestic military and such shared that were influenced to what they had to hide afterwards, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context. So please respond. But me beg, please don't, because I'm the only one trying to speak for everyone. We just want to have the American dream. That's too many people dreaming at once through systems that aren't going to do anything but exploit that dream. Fake. There is pantheism, which is the one identity of valuable aggression and demonstration to the many nations we're not supposed to agree about its name. English, this 26 sounds of the English language have an identity of relationship to themselves that is natural and increasing nature of volume. As an individual identity of language, there are grouped that, like, for example, Latin laws are recorded a grouped value in relationship to the fake needs to counter what is fake, needs to have laws where you could show nature of laws where you could, if you're inside a court or outside a court, you can show the courts are messed up. So you need to have the right to be able to do that. Because if you don't have that interpreted that way correctly, that's why we need to have. There are proofs that there are. Arabic is about algebra is about how there are grouped, how Latin, English, and Arabic are grouped value. Not to leave out all and how India, for example, is a religion about how we are all value at once, or as plurality and demonstration, as plurality expansion of the identity that is self-generating. See, but we have fake science interpretation that are preventing science from demonstration what we would actually agree on. And then we have prevented, like, it's evidence that forging names and switching names and uses of confessions by New Britain Superior Court, their roles with attaching little kids to fake locations through time, attaching themselves and their family members to fake ties to others that also share names and forge names and switching names roles. A whole bunch of natures of racketeering other than just, extortion, child sexual offenders roles. As women too, interbranch, that's evidences where women's nature is valued. Still a slave tool to keep other slaves. This is where we need serious, but we have sick cycles pretending just hurt and indifference to using weapons for that, especially the weapons of state, is not serious. I mean, it's serious. That's not serious. That's negative reaction. That's self-cultivated roles, tools in nature as what was propagated only allowed to be that. There's no joke. There's no A or B when it comes down to what's serious about how to treat what Hera Beecher Stowe's value is, or Uncle Tom, her character. What's serious, how you treat that seriously is being about what's sequence true, what's the order to the finite true, what's the order to active volume true, order to progressive volume true, and identity's complete natures simultaneously unceasing semi nature again to the perfect value progression. So they keep these obfuscated. Allah, al, value al, is the definite article. Definite, DEFINITE. Finite is inside the word definite. This is about the order to the finite. This is what is definitely the order of value progression perfect. That will only stay. The identity, yin yang, as the nature of volume will only increase. As value is nature, as nature is value. And that is a little bit more simultaneous nature. And simultaneously, unceasingly, through the body, further and further. This temporary hyper positive is further making more and more temporary lasting positive or negative. So heaven and hell came from this science. This came from the science of correlation nature without criminal foreign influences and physical delusions. But you guys need to be able to. You guys are with the word evidence used criminally already. You guys are pretty with statutes just criminal. We're supposed to pretend ourselves. The statutes say, I know we're all messed up, so we just defend ourselves over the people. It's too expensive otherwise. That's why we need federal stewardships of Connecticut. And we need to get them to pick one name in sequence. These are people involved with former director of the FBI and his defendant capacities criminally, as their racketeering roles with him, with uses of databases at each of the campuses I went to, with uses of people all along the houses next to them connected to racketeering uses of them. Everyone doesn't realize. That's why we need to have we realize, but they want to talk about overall things. And we have styles of liars. Real sick with little kid child offenders. They need to pretend they're against things. They need to pretend things that they believe people are good or bad in the background because they know they have all fake things they're reading from and having made up in coaching. So please respond. Come on, this is bad. There's a whole bunch of people tied to a Dilla family too. With my new and past neighbors, with racketeering, with the databases, also with the judges, with their uses of real estate companies. Because the way they make sequence shifts unfold, they want to pretend that they can solve things so they can make mistakes and just pretend it's mistakes. Follow mandated law, have them pick one name in sequence. Hartford courts are also involved with the New Britain Superior Courts leading up to an 2006 case in the Trade Center attack case. They were already recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the pattern of racketeering. I traced out further. Now, like the story's the cat. Forget it. There's, in other words, things are recorded that you don't realize are recorded, and they're lying about statutes and precedents, so they don't do it, and then they pretend other real quick in a criminal way. They're using acting. They're using a theater, like magicians, forcing child offenders right through administrations. No, forced to entertain knaves, pretending they're about truth when they know they reported themselves not about truth. They're Foxct. Follow mandated law. Please get them pick one name, Mr. Lewis. Please show the nation what a man can do, and and we'll have no wars. We'll show what help can do for a chief. How great nature can be if you admit it, forsake.